Simply, we are in a continuum of developing our skills, our knowledge, and our desire, finding light, love, and lessons from the past, failures, setbacks, mistakes, and successes in order to effectuate a trajectory of where we want to be or better. This is the secret sauce when we can devoid ourselves of that "this is what I want people to think" syndrome, and instead focus in on I am, and here is how I'm prioritizing my future, considering the lessons of the past.
David Meltzer is a legendary sports executive and formerly served as CEO of the renowned Leigh Steinberg Sports Entertainment Agency, which was the inspiration for the movie Jerry Maguire. He is one of the world's top entrepreneurs, investors, and business coaches. David has been recognized by Variety magazine as their Sports Humanitarian of the Year and awarded the Ellis Island Medal of Honor. David is the executive producer of the Apple TV series 2 Minute Drill and Office Hours. He's also the executive producer of Entrepreneur's non-digital business show, Elevator Pitch. David is featured in many books, movies, and TV shows such as World's Greatest Motivators, Think and Grow Rich, and Beyond the Secret, featured on Netflix. His life's mission is to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. This simple yet powerful mission has led him on an incredible journey to provide one thing: value. In all his content and communication, that's exactly what you'll receive.
David, welcome to the Wealth and Business Podcast. I know you're so busy, and thank you so much for taking time to join us here. To want to give a lot of value, to our audience. So basically, I wanted to center this conversation around rebuilding and scaling. A lot of entrepreneurs start, they grow, and then they fail. All right. And usually, without any reason of their fault, failures comes. I'm someone who failed a couple of times. But how do you basically rebuild from the point of failure or learning through adversity and becoming the greatest entrepreneur that you could become?
Well, I think it starts with the mindset, and not to have a start and stop and restart and restop mindset. If we look at things as expansive in nature, based upon our capabilities, our skills, either personally or professionally or as a company, our knowledge of two things: who and what, and our desire, and we limit the focus of this expansion to daily practices that are assessing the exterior circumstances, whether it's interest rates, supply and demand, whether it's COVID, what other circumstances or events that are occurring outside of us. If we take those in consideration only at the time, the present, and we continue to look at what do we want today according to not only the exterior circumstances, but how they're impacting the who we can help and who can help us, the how best to be productive, accessible, and gracious, efficient, effective, and statistically successful, aligned with where we think we want to be today, considering the external circumstances, and then prioritize each day individually, separate, part and parcel from what we think we want to be or better, and taking into consideration only one other thing: the meaning of the past, the failures, the setbacks, the mistakes. Meaning of the past also needs to be aligned with the trajectory of where we think we want to be or better. And so if we can effectuate the what, the who, and the how, we then can prioritize accordingly, an efficient, effective, and statistically successful way, our now. And instead of searching for what's missing, what we don't have, what we don't want, or what we want other people to think we're doing, which is a huge energy crisis between I am and what I want people to think I am, especially as a business, we now are consistently applying our why. And even though entities change direction and names, even though entities may close or open, simply we are in a continuum of developing our skills, our knowledge, and our desire, finding light, love, and lessons from the past, failures, setbacks, mistakes, and successes in order to effectuate a trajectory of where we want to be or better. This is the secret sauce when we can devoid ourselves of that "this is what I want people to think" syndrome, and instead focus in on I am, and here is how I'm prioritizing my future, considering the lessons of the past.
This episode of the Wealth and Business Podcast is brought to you by our sponsor and our partner, Adrian Benjamin. Adrian is a wealth protection advisor who helps business owners, property investors to financially protect themselves, their family, and their businesses. Adrian will make sure that if the worst was to happen to you or your family, you will be able to financially survive. To know more how Adrian can help you protect your wealth, your families from the worst when it does happen, follow the link on the show notes and you will have access to his social media, a calendar link to help book a consultation call where he can actually see where you are in your wealth protection. You know, I really love something you said here, thinking of what people want, think about syndrome. So because entrepreneurs are quick to make this sort of judgment, especially entrepreneurs who are going through adversity and going through challenges and still wanting to be on top, having to, to show what the outside, the outside look like rather than what the interior look like, which is entrepreneurs focusing on the, wanting to be rather than actually telling it as it is. How can basically this sort of situation to really be overcome? Because for me, there is no success without failure. You cannot be successful if you haven't failed. If you cannot hold 1,000 pounds, you cannot hold 1,000,000. And it's just like the lottery syndrome. If you go and win 1,000,000 lottery today and all of a sudden you're a lottery winner, if you never ever controlled that amount of money and manage money correctly, regardless of how big it is, it will all come down crashing. So how can entrepreneurs who are in this sort of aspect of their businesses overcome, tell it as it is, and build stronger?
Yeah, well, I use, number one, an analogy to a butterfly. A startup business is like a caterpillar, and it works its way in a cocoon and continues to grow, and eventually it starts growing wings to get out of this cocoon, right? You mentioned winning the lottery. That's outside of their normal comfort zone, the cocoon. And in order to get out of the cocoon, and also in order to get strong enough to fly, the butterfly has to break itself out of the cocoon. If you cut open the cocoon and let the butterfly out, it will die because it won't be strong enough to fly. And so when we realize that our comfort zone only will allow us to stay the same or to get weaker, dissipate, or dissolve, and it is the cocoon itself that we need to break out of and strengthen our wings by having pain, setbacks, failures, mistakes, void, shortages, and obstacles placed in our way so that we can not only break out of the cocoon, but be strong enough to fly to the next level, to plateau and grow to a bigger, stronger cocoon that has a bigger and stronger comfort level, but yet we will continue to break out of that one eventually as well, so we can fly even higher.
For someone like yourself who's built a multi-million-dollar business, you've been in a situation in your lifetime so far. You've built multiple businesses. You've done so well, within your space. I mean, I always say this: the best way to receive advice is to receive advice from someone who has your result. For someone like yourself who's built multi-million-dollar businesses, and for someone like myself, and for those who are also listening, so I'll break this in two segments. So I've built a 7 million pound business, or rather a 7-figure business. Now, I want you to relate this to two individuals. For those who are looking to build a 7-figure business, now you have built an 8-figure, 9-figure business. So for someone like myself, how can I go from a 7-figure business to achieving the result that you have? And as well as for those who are from 0 to 7 figures or 0 to 6 figures, what sort of mindset do they need to be in order to obviously, build a business from 0 to 6 or 7, from 7 to 8 or 9, like myself?
It's actually more simple than you would think it is. And I always suggest to people the simple things to do are unfortunately simple not to do. And there's two things mainly that you need to do, whether it's getting from 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, or now even
Yes.
9 to 10. And the first one is find someone who's sitting in that situation, as you mentioned before, and ask them for help. There's no faster or easiest way to get to where you want to be than ask someone that's already there for directions. That's why I'm always looking up to my mentors to get a seat at their table, and also giving a seat to those below me at my table. Now, the second one's a little bit more difficult than finding the person that sits in a situation you want to be in and asking them for help. The second thing that you need to do is work on your own self-image. Even if you have the right mentorship, someone that sits in a situation that you want to be in, the right coach to bring the best out of you, or even the right teacher in that concept to teach you how to take the steps in order to get to where you want to be or better, you still need to work on your own self-image, because you never will overachieve your own self-image. Your self-image is a thermostat. If you go over it, like you mentioned, and win the lottery, it's going to reset itself right to your self-image, right to your thermostat. If you're beneath it, it will raise you up to your self-image. Therefore, by not only finding someone who sits in the situation that you want to be in and having the mentorship, teaching, and coaching, but also working on every day to see where you're interfering with your self-image, your potential, your higher self. And a lot of people need another type of coach. And it's one of the things that, I like to help people with in the mindset, heart set, and handset of limitations, of changing the way they self-perceive and participate in that perception in order to effectuate 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 figures.
We live in a world today, David, where there's so much noise. There's just so much noise, and people not knowing what to listen to and who to listen to. But yet people are motivated by your story, someone who is lost, millions of dollars and built it all the way back, and even building it bigger than you built it before, and taking so much constrained information from one person, because the Instagram gratification is here. Like literally everybody wants it instantly now. And thinking building a 7-figure business to a 10-figure business is overnight. I know there's a lot of things that is built around mindset, but in reality, mindset obviously is one of the key principles that needs to take you from where you are now to where you want to go. Other than mindset, what are the other realistics that entrepreneurs need to implement just outside of the mindset? We all understand that, okay, mindset is key. You have to build from the within in order for you to have an exterior. So if you don't mind sharing, 4 things or 4 pillars that people can actually take outside of the mindset that can allow them grow a business.
So the other 4 things are number one, what you do every day and how you utilize time and space to effectuate what you do. What activities you have each day, planned, unplanned, meaning that you already have awareness to the fact that if I have a well-developed plan, God is going to laugh at me. So I better understand and study the space in which I can put the unplanned activities that come daily, and also our sleep. We have to also decipher in those activities of what we do each day in a trajectory of where we want to be, activities we get paid for and activity we don't get paid for. Utilizing time, non-time and scheduled time in order to maximize the productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. So the number one thing that I want people to look at is how am I utilizing the activities in a day, each day, 24 hours of man-made constructive time, in order to accelerate, aggregate, and compound exponentially the outcomes that are most suited for my future. 2, we have to say things. We have to be conscious, not just of the mindset, but we have to say the right things. If we're not talking them into existence, we're actually talking them out of existence. That's why worry is a duplicate to get negative, that everybody worries, but what you're doing is actually talking about what you don't want, right? We're wishing for what we don't want and creating an interference between us and what we do want. The third thing that we want to look at is beliefs. So beyond our mindset, we need to have a source of faith. And I use the best option source of faith that is aligned with most religion, philosophies, theories, and spirituality. It's basically, there's something bigger than me that knows everything and is all powerful, and it loves me more than my mom. Therefore, I believe that no matter what's happening in my personal and professional life, I'm protected and promoted. I'm just too stupid to know why. And so when I lost everything, I was just too stupid to realize that was the only way that I was going to save my life and save my marriage, was to start at ground zero. Yeah. Because but for that, and so when we have a source of faith as our belief and constitute of protection and promotion of living in a world of value add, not zero sum, that belief is just as important as what we do, say, and think in the mindset. And then finally, the most overlooked component, the fourth one, is how we feel. You know, I tell people all the time, and you were talking about the silos and, you know, people just get caught up into these things. Look, what you want to capture in your life is what resonates with you. What resonates with you is giving you awareness to importance, not to timing. And so if you're in a big personal development, I'm going to the Silicon Slope Summit today with, you know, speaking Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, Gary Vee, Jesse Itzler. We're going to be doing a meetup and Ask Me Anything ourselves. I don't want people to write down everything that everybody says. Only that which resonates with you, and then create a system, because time is a man-made construct. Just because something resonates with you now doesn't mean it's going to happen 2 seconds from now. It may be 2 years, 2 months. It's invariable. So I want you to focus in on 5 things, not only the mindset, but what you do, say, believe, and feel as well. And those 5 levels of intention, plus the attention, focus you give to it, will equal the coincidences, the karma, the luck of your life, and you will live a prosperous, passionate, and purposeful existence.
Thank you so much, David, for spending your afternoon with myself. I know I have got to be bang on time. Thank you so much for taking out time to come in here and share your wisdom of knowledge. Guys, for those of you listening now, there's going to be show notes, with his website, his Instagram handle, everywhere. So make sure you reach out to David. And David, thank you so much for your time. If there's any one word you just want to give to the audience before you go, please.
Yeah, for your community, I'd love if you email me. I will sign a book, send it to you, pay for the book and shipping for anyone in your community. David@Dmeltzer.com. It'll be right there in the show notes. Remember, everyone, be kind to your future self. Do good deeds. Email me, David@Dmeltzer.com. Thank you, Daniel. I look forward to doing many, many more things with you. Such a great effort and impact you're having. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the show. See you soon.